Welcome everyone to today's video. My name is Dimitar from the Dimitrov Boulez Piano Duo, and in today's video I want to talk to you about the Nocturne by Chopin, Opus 48 number 2. First of all, how does that sound? If you know this piece, but recently a student of mine started playing it, and I haven't had students that worked on this piece for quite some time, and it was a nice reminder for me as to what a beautiful piece that is by Chopin. And I wanted to shoot a quick video for you, just perhaps to inspire you to pick that piece and play it if it's at your level, because it's such a fantastic work. I wanted to show you which score I'm using. I'm using the Paderewski edition, this one. So if any of you want to use and are wondering what edition is good, this is definitely good. And perhaps you can use Henle. It's also a very well-known edition, and it will be also quite good. So this is what I'm going to use. And I haven't played the piece myself. I know the piece. And again, I was very pleasantly surprised when we were scrolling through different nocturnes, looking through different nocturnes, and we thought, oh, this one we're going to do, and I love the piece, and I think you will love it too. Let's get started and see what ideas I will share with you today, perhaps to get you inspired to start learning this piece. You would think that the piece actually begins, of course, in bar 3, when you have already the triplets. And to me, as a person who is already for quite short time, of course, composing music, it is still fascinating to see that he does not start the piece directly with the triplets, which would be a very okay thing to do. It would be really wonderful to start like that, but he starts with such a pondering, such a thoughtful opening. And then he lets his emotions and thoughts go. The story begins after bar 3. And one of the ideas I wanted to share with you if you start to play this piece is make sure that you're not tempted to completely get out of time with the first 2 bars. What I mean is, in bar 3, have more or less a frame of tempo, a frame of direction of a pulse that you want to take from bar 3, and apply that into the first 2 bars. Because look, if bar 3 you're playing in this tempo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you don't have that framework, if you start the piece completely out of, you see, it will lose some direction. And what's going to happen? It will work. You can make anything convincing, or more or less convincing, but what's going to happen is you will not be able to have that bigger and faster flow from bar 3. As you see, when I'm doing such a slow opening, completely out of what I just showed you as a tempo, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. In order for it to feel natural, I'll have to continue in this tempo and slowly. Otherwise, if I start very quickly, if I pick up be a little bit, not really of a shock, but it will not match completely. So I would recommend, of course, the first 2 bars, feel free to have this real thoughtful and out of time feeling, while at the same time having a little bit the knowledge and a feeling of what you're going to do from bar 3, and have more or less the tempo overall to be. For me, this is very difficult to explain in words. That's why I will combine it with showing you. So if my tempo is 3, 4, 1, I will have more or less the beginning 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see, my first bar is actually matching very well my third bar. So I have 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, why does that work? It's going to work because I already gave the listener the feeling of what the tempo is going to be from bar 3. So the listener isn't going to be confused and is going to be still dragged in to listen to the piece. So our tempo is 3, 4, 1, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now I'm free to take time. So yeah, I find that fascinating, and I think it would be something worthwhile for you to look into, because it's such a special feeling. Second thing, I will not even focus on that, I will just mention it. Watch out that you're, of course, 8 notes against the triplets in bar, particularly that appears in bar 4. Make sure that the second note of the left hand, the G sharp in that case, comes immediately after the E sharp of the left hand, and not too late, because that's not going to be correct. So that's 2 against 3. Perhaps we have a video on that, I don't know, we'll check and we'll put it in the link above if you're not sure how to play 2 against 3. That's an important technical point, but since I'm not interested to talk about the technical points, but much more about the interpretation, because I was so inspired to hear this piece, I wanted to share with you something actually very interesting for me right now. Triplets of the left hand. Make sure there is a wonderful way to phrase the triplets, and that is, don't go towards the last note, don't do this, because that does not sound so good. It sounds more square. Don't do that. Make a wave from the first note and then decrease the last notes. Kind of avoid arriving at the last note. Instead of, and that's when I apply that, you can hear. Of course, I'm exaggerating now. Because what happens is, if you have a wave, the piece is going to come to life. It's going to be very, very emotional. It's going to be very touching. At the same time, if you decrease the last note and if you don't play too loud, you will have a very much feeling of lightness and this urge to go forward, to go to the next and very long line. So it's never going to be square, it's never going to be stopping and heavy, but it's constantly going to float. The last idea I wanted to share with you, I was really inspired when I saw this. Have this moment to be not as passionate in the sense of passion that you can feel and that you can see and that you can experience, but more inward. and then it opens up. Let me show you how that works. I'm going to play it again. I have to indulge in that. From bar 3, so you can feel from bar 3 until bar 7 is this much more open, outspoken emotion, and bar 7 there is this, however you want to call it. Is it a painful feeling? Is it a is it reminiscence? Is it a memory that's very intimate and that's not so outspoken? So when you have wow, that was a big fail. I'm going to do it again. It's just such a... I think it's because also the higher register, because in the beginning you have this very open bass, and then suddenly you have the hands come close together. Yeah, so this is also something that you can pay attention to when you have in the higher registers, when he changes the register, because that's an octave. Bar 3 you have this, and bar 7 you have a much higher register, and that produces a very different feeling. That's basically, I wanted just to give you a video that might inspire you to play this piece, because it's so beautiful. I was immediately into the piece when we chose it with my student, and I think you can I think a lot of you will enjoy it, especially people who love Chopin. I'm sure that they will absolutely be in love with this piece. So have a look at these things, and if you happen to have other questions, because I'm sure a lot can arise once you start working on the piece. A lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges can come, a lot of questions might come up. Feel free to let us know down in the comments below. I'm going to answer any questions you have, and that's it. That's going to be it for today. For me, as always, recording this video for you was a great pleasure. Thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you so much for being a subscriber, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that, like the video, and we will see you next week again.